All right, so what we're going to be talking about today is of course the gold panning strategies. Now, essentially, what gold panning refers to is essentially sifting through a ton of dirt to find tiny pieces of gold. I don't know if any of you are fans of any of the gold mining reality shows. They're pretty popular here in the States. I know they're kind of global as far as their audience. So but that's kind of where um, I think it was back in 2016. I think is I was actually watching one of these shows when I came up with the whole gold panning label on this while I was in the middle of creating a strategy apparently for the first course of Sponsor Products Academy. Back then, though, there wasn't all the ad types that are available that are available today. So back then, it was just sponsored product ads, and it was just keywords. It was just like it was very limited compared to what it was today. Now, the idea is with a gold panning strategy, essentially what this has done, this is an add-on ad strategy. Okay, this is not your main strategy. Okay, this is an add-on, supplemental, if you will. Okay, so the gold panning strategy essentially is designed to show ads infrequently. All right, so when ad space becomes available at a very discounted cost, and I'll go through some of the conditions of when that actually occurs on the next slide here. But the intent here is to pick up some additional sales. That's why we call it, like the supplemental or add-on campaign. It is not going to be enough sales velocity in these campaigns for you to really use them to launch a product or rank a keyword, for instance. That's why you've got to use very targeted, very aggressive keywords on full phrases and much more aggressive bids, of course. But what is cool about this, and one of the reasons why I was excited to jump on and talk to you guys about this today, was based on some of the recent questions and posts and everything regarding related gold panning strategies, because this thing has kind of blossomed out over the last 4 years, and I'm glad that it came up because it is one of those that you just kind of dust off. It's one we use within my own agency, and we just kind of take it for granted, honestly, because it's one of those kind of things you kind of set up and it's very little to maintain, and just you come back to it and it's like, oh yeah, no, that's my low ACoS campaign. But now, especially in 2020, there's so much more opportunity now because most brands that I talk to on a weekly or daily basis even are only using about 15% of the ad space that's now available on Amazon.com today. Now, Amazon.com, of course, has the largest pool of ad placements and ad types available, followed by UK and Germany. Most of the other marketplaces, they don't have all the inventory as far as ad placements and ad types. Amazon will roll these out, and so you can look forward to that in other marketplaces. But we'll focus in on .com since that's, I know, where a bulk of sales are, and just kind of use that as a baseline, right? Okay, so let me jump into the next one here. Come on. What are the conditions that typically apply for and against gold panning as a strategy? The conditions that contribute to the success of these strategies include the fact that why it works, in other words, it's very common for brands to run ads that don't show due to the following items. So you've got time of day, you've got some competitors, and of course, you're going to have a whole mix. Depending on what product niche that you're in, you're going to have a different mix of these kind of competitors as far as how savvy they are, what tools they're using, what strategies they're using, how good are they about projecting their stock. All that kind of stuff is going to come into play here. But time of day is going to be one of those. If they're using any kind of day parting strategy, or they have a budget that runs out at noon every day, then what's going to happen is you're going to have, in that example, you're going to have all your competition from on 12:01 a.m., all the budgets turn on for all your competing, all the competitive ads. Amazon has to pick and choose between those. Let me kind of take a step back and kind of talk about that for a second. The way the ad auction works, there's only so much ad inventory available. As much as Amazon's trying to cram it down our throat, there's only so much ad inventory available, and Amazon has to make choices. They can't just show everything that is advertised. So the ad auction makes choices by filtering out. You might have 500 competitors who are all trying to advertise, but Amazon maybe wants to get that down to 50 to 100 and then prioritize those based on a number of criteria. So some of those, I should have put a slide in this to talk about this a little bit more, but let's say it starts out with 500 competitors trying to run ads for the same products with the same keywords, and Amazon is going to filter out. They're going to cut that list in half through a couple of filters, including, okay, do you even qualify, right? So the third one here is purchase disqualification because they're out of stock, they don't have the buy box, they've got some account performance issue. Honestly, that cuts out a lot. You'd be surprised how many other competing brands that you're going up against don't even qualify to run the ads for a number of different reasons, okay? Then the ad auction will go through and say, okay, what is relevant? Okay, so relevant is actually on the, looks like the sixth bullet point. So are the, oops, I'm sorry, that's not right. The fourth one, sorry, the fourth bullet point here is lack of available and relevant keyword inventory. Obviously, I threw off my slide sequence here by throwing in this ad auction. That's a whole other discussion we could get into, I'm sure. But the fourth bullet point here is the lack of available and relevant keyword inventory, essentially saying that Amazon wants us as sellers to be tightly focused, tightly targeted on an audience that we think is going to be directly interested in our product and therefore is going to use search terminology. That's kind of classic view of the way the ad auction works. And therefore, they're going to make choices. They're going to filter out ads that aren't quite as close as relevant. In other words, if it has 200 competing ads and 150 of those are using, or let's say 100 of those are using closely relevant keywords that they're targeting to whatever the shopper is searching for, and the other 100 are using loose terminology. You know, they're using things, generic terms like you know, single words, or they're using something that is similar to the product or related to the product. In other words, it's not as relevant to the shopper. Therefore, Amazon can easily, in a competitive state, Amazon can easily cut those out. So they go from 500 competitors to 200 competitors down to 100 competitors, and then they start looking at things like campaign quality scores, bidding, you know, how aggressive are you on bidding, the placement strategy you're using, the bidding strategy you're using, the keyword match types. All these other factors go into play, and then they'll add on things like placement adjustments and that type of stuff at the very end. And so really they're filtering heavily on qualification and relevance first. And you know, they'll get that list down to, like, say, 50 to 100 competing ads. Now, now let's go back into this list of bullet points here and kind of address these and kind of fit them in here. The time of day, you get shoppers, or you get sellers rather, who they set, you know, a $20 budget, and on a busy day, their budget runs out at noon, or that's just normal. They just let it run out, okay, because they only want to spend so much each day. And so, or they set it up so they're only running for specific hours during the day from, you know, 8 a.m. to noon, or, you know, something like that. In other words, during certain times of the day, they don't qualify because they don't have active budgets. Okay, they're cut out. Okay, stripped down. So now you're going from 50, now you got 40, you know, that are available to run ads. And you got shopper behavior. If you've got somebody who is, if you've got a seller who is shipping from China, for instance, they're not going to rank as well, or their ad is not going to really show as well as somebody who is a mile away from the shopper. If the shopper is a mile away from a warehouse that contains the product that this advertiser is advertising for, that is going to score a lot higher than somebody who has to ship it from, you know, 8 weeks shipment time. And I happen to know that because that's how long it took for me to get a product recently from China. And they're going to say, it's like, you know what? They may not cut out, they may not disqualify that advertiser, but they're going to put them way down at the bottom of the list, right? Other purchase disqualifications, of course, you know, they run out of stock. They lose the buy box because they've got hijackers on their listing, you know, or they're doing wholesale or something like that. And of course, account performance. You know, they didn't pay their last advertising bill. Amazon wants to get paid. They don't have quite the quality score. They've got a performance ding against their account. Their ads may not show for an account performance issue. Okay. The lack of available and relevant keyword inventory. It's a very common practice for sellers to go in and say, I mean, this is something that we teach also, but it creates this opportunity for gold panning in that we are taught, and I do teach, of course, to focus to highly relevant keywords. Now, there are some people who go out and they teach various ad strategies that are more restrictive than others, okay? They may say only use exact match type, for instance. Don't use phrase match, don't use broad match, only use exact match type. Well, in Amazon's eyes, that's very restrictive. You're probably gonna, your ad is probably not gonna show for 60, 70, even 80% of the traffic that's on Amazon if you just do exact match. Now, that's a different discussion as far as the best use of exact match and other match types, but it's a reason here for somebody else's ad not to show. Okay, so you can see this list continues to shrink and shrink and shrink and shrink, and all of a sudden, if you come in with a very low bid ad that's just been parked in the back, parking lot and just waiting for its chance to drive forward, all of a sudden your ad starts getting closer and closer to qualifying to show. So all it requires is the perfect storm of these kind of combinations happening. This is certainly happening a lot throughout COVID. This happens during any kind of event like Prime Day or back to school sales or Cyber Monday, these things where there's high traffic, but people run out of stock. All of a sudden you get these, top one seller in your product niche. All of a sudden they're out of stock and their ads aren't showing. And now all of a sudden everybody else is next in line, next in the queue. And before too much longer, even at a very low bid, your ad can start showing. Okay. Products that rely on child variation listings. Oh, let me back up one here. I missed one. The failure to run all available ad types. This is the biggest strategy the biggest opportunity in 2020 that I see. As I mentioned before, only about 15% of the ad inventory that's available is being run on is basically being used by most sellers. How many of you were aware of that? Give me a 15 in the comments there, just so I know how many people are listening in and kind of following along here. How many of you are aware that most sellers are only using about 15% of the current ad space available on Amazon? That also gives me a chance to see whether or not I'm missing comments. All right. Okay. All right, I think Facebook's probably a little bit delayed because I'm not seeing. Okay, was not aware. Cool. Thank you, Jeremy. All right, so at least I'm seeing some of these come through. But what that means is that most sellers, most of your competition is buying. They're running automatic campaigns and sponsored products. They're running keyword campaigns and sponsored products, and maybe they're running one or two sponsored brand headline ads. Okay, that is the classic thing. That all changed last year when Amazon started going very aggressive as far as adding on product and category targeting, display ads, audience targeting, all these new ad types in the last 6 to 12 months. But most brands that I talk to, they're not touching these. They're literally only using 15, maybe 20% if they're doing well of the ad space available that they could be doing. What that means, though, is that if everybody is competing for the same ad types, for this limited set of ads that everybody's using, those are going to be more expensive, as you already know. And so some of your bids can be very competitive. And so if you're using strategies like gold panning and with a very low bid in those campaigns, but you're using all the available ad types at your disposal, then you've got kind of a blue ocean opportunity where there's hardly any competition who's bidding on those. And there's a much, much higher chance of your ad showing at pennies on the dollar. Sounds like a real estate seminar. Now, the other thing too is products reliant on child variations. Now, how many of you are aware that Amazon prefers to show standalone, or sometimes you can call it parent listing, but that's not actually the correct term. A standalone product listing. Amazon likes to show only one product of the same product group or the same product at a time on the same page for organic keyword or for an ad. Now, different ad types, that's different because you could have multiple the same product showing in multiple ad types at the same time. We've had up to 6 showing up on the same page in one instance, in one test we did. But Amazon, in other words, child variations. If you've got a blue widget, for instance, and a red widget, and you're running an ad for the same keyword, the same search result comes up, Amazon is not going to show both the red and the blue child variation product listing or ad on that same page at the same time, unless there's the exception on that is kind of a gold panning opportunity. The exception is that if no competition is running ads and you're the only ad available, Amazon has to use yours because they still need to fill these ad places. And if there's nobody else competing in a very rare product niche situation, then yeah, you could probably get child variations to show, but it's pretty rare to ever see that because there's usually enough competing ads available in the inventory for Amazon to show those instead. But if you had separate product listings, if you had red and blue or separate standalone listings, you can show the red and the blue for the same keyword at the same time on the same page. How many of you are aware of that? All right, we move forward here. Take a quick breath here. Give you a chance to answer that one. Okay, so any questions regarding the conditions that contribute to the gold panning strategy, the success of the gold panning strategy, and why the gold panning strategy works? Any questions about that top section there? I'm going to start moving faster here, so I want to make sure that the questions are at least getting put in there. Cool. All right, thanks, Graham. Okay, all right, cool. All right, so for conditions that detract from the gold panning strategy, that includes product listings with poor relevance. In other words, if you've tried this before or tried something similar where it was just a low bid campaign, plenty of my peers have echoed my original gold panning strategies, so it's out there. I'm not concerned about that. I think everybody should use it, but it just keeps on getting added on, added on year over year. But the conditions that prevent the gold panning strategy from really working well are cases where product listings have very poor relevance, right? So the keywords that you're targeting or the content on the product listing has a very poor relevance to an audience. That's not going to just affect the gold panning. That's going to affect all your ad strategy. It's going to affect whether or not your ads show ad impressions in general. And so you generally will find that you have lower conversion rates and you've got poor targeting. Your click-through rates are bad. You probably have other clues that as far as whether or not your product listing is suffering from a case of poor relevance. Your content just doesn't match up with your product as clean as it should be. And it certainly doesn't, you're making it so that your product doesn't really match up with the search terminology that shoppers are using to find similar products. Second one on this, of course, is poor product conversion rate. Now, this is very common in certain product niches, anything that's got a lot of different or combined variations. A very common one example that I use on this is like baby clothing. Baby clothing is the worst for this because you've got style, you've got size, you have materials, you have patterns, you've got colors, all these different variations. The more variations that you offer a shopper, the more it slows down their decision process, the less likely they're going to make a decision to purchase, and therefore your conversion rates go down. It's not uncommon for multi-variation products to have a single digit, if not a below 5% conversion rate. Stay away from those if you can. Let's see here, what else? So poor conversion rate. Products within a hyper-competitive niche. Certainly if you're in the supplement space, I can guarantee you there's enough available ads running by competitors that Amazon has plenty of selection. This will probably not work in something like pet supplements or human supplements would be difficult unless it's kind of more of a niche product. There's certain products that are hyper competitive, and when you've got a lot of competitors and they're all trying to fight for the same space, they're all going to be running ads, and you would know that because you've got CPCs that are probably north of $1, more likely $2, $3, $4 in some cases. When you start getting up into $3 plus cost per click on some of your more competitive terms, you're in a hyper competitive niche. You're unlikely to ever trigger the gold panning, and this is not going to probably be as effective. Not to say that you shouldn't set it up, because there are rare situations where it does actually trigger. You get a sale and it gets a single digit ACoS and it works out beautifully. All right, any questions regarding conditions? The next things I'm going to talk about, I'm going to move on to, include, let's see, oops, hold on here. There we go. Come on. Let me talk about some of the strategies that are available. The short version of this whole thing, if you wanted to jump off right now, is gold panning is basically creating low bid campaigns. I've had somebody state that before. It's like, wait a minute, so this whole thing, you're just basically creating a low bid campaign. Yep. Now there's different strategies, there are different options you can do within these campaigns, but as a general concept, yes, it's just a low bid campaign. Now, from an automatic campaign standpoint, an automatic campaign within sponsored products, of course, those have auto-targeting groups. If you're using those, of course, you're aware that those have the auto-targeting groups of close match, loose match, complementary products, and substitute products. Does anybody need clarification on what those auto-targeting groups are or what they mean? Keyword targeting, of course, is available in sponsored products and sponsored brands. Those, of course, where you add in your own list of keywords. This can work great for gold panning. It's actually single words that you're going to be using in gold panning. I'll show you that on the keyword targeting slide. Product targeting. Product targeting is available in both product targeting and category targeting are available in sponsored product ads, sponsored brand ads, and sponsored display ads. Now, one of the things I do predict in the future is that we'll have some additional opportunities that pop up, including things like format targeting. So this would be things as far as mobile, audio, what else? Social media posts. Those kinds of things will be some additional future ad placement type of options that you can jump on when they become available. Because remember, if you are an early adopter on new ad types that become available, the cost is really low, and strategies like gold panning work fantastic. And then, of course, demographic targeting. This is primarily something that's been used with some display ads, but primarily through things like demand side platform, which is Amazon's other ad platform. It's more of their enterprise or agency level platform. Something we use for quite a few of our clients to grow their brand off Amazon as well, what they call DSP or demand side platform. All right. All right, do me a favor here. Give me a little, I'm going to do kind of a comment check again here, if you don't mind. Can I get a couple of comments from at least a few people just to make sure that it's come through loud and clear? Am I moving too fast? Am I going too slow? All right. Okay, cool. Yeah, I think there might be a little bit of delay, so sorry for having to check on this. It's just bit of a slow one here. All right, so let's talk about the gold panning as far as the automatic targeting. So I'm going to go through, I'm going to show you kind of a structure as far as a general recommended structure. It's going to beg some questions, but I'm going to go through each of these targeting, the automatic, the keyword, the product, and the category really quick to kind of outline for you what those look like. This, of course, is recording and being saved um, to the group so that you can, of course, watch it. You're welcome to take screenshots, of course, if you want on this. From an automatic targeting standpoint, this one, of course, any automatic campaign that was created after November 2018 has the capabilities of using the auto targeting groups, including the close, loose, complementary, and substitute targeting groups. If you've got automatic campaigns that are older than November 2018, I suggest you start new ones so you can take advantage of that feature because you've got some additional targeting refinements that you can do to get better performance out of those. But generally, the way that we would do this on an automatic targeting campaign, you just create an automatic campaign, call it gold panning or whatever you want, 20 cent or sorry, $20 budget. One of the things I typically recommend that people do in their titles for things like the title of the automatic campaign is start out and say, okay, for this particular product group, let's say you've got a set of widgets and you have different color variations. Those are all the same kind of widget, right? So you're probably going to group those underneath the same campaign. And I would title it probably with the name of that product group. I would title it with gold panning, and I would probably set it, make a mention to yourself so that 2 years when it's still running, that you can look back and say, um, you know, this was intentionally set at, a default bid of 50 cents or something, right? So put something like a, 0.50 or something like that. So you kind of remind yourself that it was intentionally set at 50 cents because it is very tempting that when these start working, that you want to raise the bid. Now it's your prerogative whether or not you raise the bid, but the point of this is to have this perpetually running campaign that always has an extremely low ACoS and just kind of brings in some extra cash for you. So it's a nice thing when it works well. This I will tell you. One of the things I will tell you on this. So, kind of a story as far as why this particular one works fantastic is we've seen this during Prime Day, we've seen this during Cyber Monday, and Surprise Tuesday. Um, when the search volume is very high, there's a lot of traffic, a lot of shoppers online, and uh, the competition is fierce when it comes to sellers trying to promote their products. They're running out of stock because things are going so fast. They didn't pay attention to their ads. They blew through, you know, 2 grand in ads and said, I'm not going to spend anymore. And so they shut their ads off at 10 a.m. or, you know, at noon or something like that, right? Very common during those hyper traffic days like Prime Day or Cyber Monday. Now, um, what happens on this, and what we've seen on this, is it would be normal for an automatic campaign. Here's kind of one of those, you know, great situations. We had a case where we were running an automatic campaign, and we had, you know, very low bid on it. It was something along this line. We actually teach a similar strategy called Waterfall Strategy, which stacks these kind of automatic gold panning campaigns with different bids. That's more an advanced strategy I'll get into some other time. But this gold panning campaign, essentially with a low bid, it didn't trigger until probably probably it started actually triggering about 3 p.m. on the afternoon of the first day of Prime Day. Okay. Now, that is pretty much when a lot of the competition started falling off, right? They ran out of budget. They panicked, you know, because they were spending so much. They had been bidding aggressively all day long. They had blown through a ton amount of money, and they had no guarantee of how many sales they were actually getting, so they panicked. And we had this one campaign that would normally get maybe, I don't know, 1 to 2,000 impressions a day, right? When this ad was done, it started about 3 o'clock and it closed out at midnight. When this thing was done, it had over 1 million impressions on this one campaign because the competition had disappeared the rest of the day in this hyper traffic day. And so it was one of those, and even more important on that, we had single digit ACoS on that. That's probably the biggest thing. We had, I don't know, it was something along the lines of probably 10 to 15 times the amount of sales volume that one day, you know, kind of typical of a day like Prime Day or Cyber Monday, you know, 10 to 15 times the volume, just through the ads. You know, I mean, they also had additional organic sales, but just through the ads. And the nice kind of bonus thing on that was because of the sales velocity they got pushed that evening from all that traffic and all those conversions through the ads. It also bumped up their organic ranking for the rest of the week. So obviously that's kind of a unicorn situation. It's not going to happen to everybody, but that's the kind of potential you've got with a basic, simple campaign like this. Okay. All right. So hold on here, Soph. Are we using the strategy on competitors' products or best converting products? Okay, so this is specifically, so this is just a sponsored product automatic campaign. So it's just your own product, right? So you're promoting your own product. What I would recommend on this is you set something up like a $5 to $20 budget, let's say, okay? You use a fixed bidding strategy. Don't put any kind of placement percentage. You know, you're not doing top of search or anything like that. I would recommend if you've got 3 product, you know, if you've got a bunch of products, for instance, within a specific product group that this campaign is for, pick your top 3 converting products. Okay, always go for, try to push like the highest converting products that you can in this kind of a campaign, and then set a really low default bid. Now, common recommendation that I historically say is 20 cents to 50 cents. You know, 50 cents. You could even go up to $1 in some product niches. What I would recommend is also take a look at what is the average suggested bid for. Well, for an automatic campaign, it's going to give you a suggested bid. So if it says, you know, it's $1.50, maybe you go default bid of 75 cents. Okay. In the manual campaigns, you'll usually have like a range of suggested bids. So then on this one here, yeah, so as far as competitor products, I'll talk about that in the next ones here when we talk about keyword, product, and category. And then Jeremy, there are no keywords in an automatic campaign, so that's why it's so simple to set up, right? Amazon is the one who chooses. This is only going to be search terms and ASINs that show up in these kind of reports. So if you haven't set up one of these before, it's simply just you setting up an automatic campaign. You set a budget, say $20. You set it to a fixed bidding strategy with no placement amplification, no placement percentage. You select your, like say, a few of your top converting products. It doesn't have to be exactly 3. Yes, you can do it with 1, but you're gonna have a better chance if you've got multiple products in the same product grouping. just try to make sure that they are higher converting products, ones that would typically be successful in ads anyway. And then just set a really low default bid. It's pretty simple, right? Just let it run forever. Okay, cool. All right, so let me jump into keyword targeting. You guys want to move faster? All right, keyword targeting is unique because you're not going after phrases, and I'll show you why that is, okay? So with keyword targeting, you can do this in sponsored product ads. You can also do it in sponsored brand ads, okay? These are a manual campaign type. Again, you'll see a similar pattern going on here. $5 to $20 budget. I recommend $20 budget. You're not going to spend it. You're going to spend like, like every week you're going to spend like $3. It's it's very it's a slow. All of these are typically slow moving campaigns because you've got to hit these triggers back here where these conditions apply, and it completely depends on your product niche and whether or not you've got a strong product versus an average product, compared to the competition, okay? And how competitive that niche is. So again, you can select your own top, top products. These are all offense ads, okay? These are not, we're not setting up like offense, defense. I've got different strategies for that, but this is simply just going after keywords as offense ads. So you're basically you are selecting keywords. However, here is the big difference on this, and this is where I'm going to start switching screens because I'm going to show you kind of where this plays into. You're setting a really low bid, okay? Still the 50 cents or the half of the average suggested bid. Amazon's going to come in and say, here's a suggested list of keywords. And in that, they're going to say, here's the suggested bid range for this list of keywords. And you can scan down and visually see, all right, where is kind of the average of where the starting bid is, and then cut that in half and kind of ballpark it. It's kind of an arbitrary number. It's just low compared to what the marketplace is demanding as far as average cost per click or average bid. The biggest difference on this is that you're only going to be using single words. Yes, you can use full phrases, but the gold panning works pretty well also if you use single words as well. So here's how this works. You are taking on, you're basically taking a full list of words. Now, if you're using a keyword research tool, you could use that list that Amazon provides that they suggest as the suggested keywords. You can just copy that entire list, and you can use a site like writewords.org.uk/word_count.asp. In fact, nope, I don't, hold on here. Let me take this link. I'm going to put it into the chat here for you. This is just a word frequency counter, okay? Now, there's no subscription or anything. It's a free tool. I've recommended it and used it for years. What it does here, and let me show you an example here. It's on my other screen. Of course it is. Okay. Let me know when you can see this screen. I'm switching basically over to another list here, but the idea with the right words here, let's say you've got blue widget, red widget, blue widget with spam, I don't know, whatever. I'm just kind of like kidding around here, of course. But the idea of this is it's basically going to count the most frequently occurring words from a long list of keywords. This one, I think it has maybe a limit of like maybe 500 keywords or something like that you can put into it. There are other tools, but essentially what this does, if I submit this, it's going to come back and say, okay, from this list, the word widget came up 3 times, blue came up twice, and the rest of these came up once, okay? So you can kind of get an idea of what are the most frequently occurring single words. And it's those most frequently occurring single words. Usually it's, probably anything more than one, like blue and widget, for instance. I would copy that over and put it into that keyword campaign. I would put it into the keyword campaign with that low bid, and I would put it as a phrase match. I used to do broad match, but phrase match just gets more traffic than any other keyword match type, and it's got the flexibility with one word to add on words before or after, so it works basically the same as the broad match would. Don't use exact match. You won't get any traffic on that because nobody searches for just a single word usually. An example of this. So there are keyword research tools. Okay, so All right. So I just want to make sure everybody was able to see this. So what you should be seeing right now is a site called ACoS, which is just a keyword research tool. Can anybody see that? Just want to make sure I'm sharing the right screen. Let me reload the screen here. Okay, yeah, it is. Okay, cool. Awesome. Okay, so yes, ACoS. Okay, so ACoS is an example. This one, I've got a paid subscription to it, but this one's kind of cool because it's got some additional features. I'm not promoting this. I'm just, this is just the one I'm showing you as an example. You may have another keyword research tool. Helium 10 has this. There are plenty of other, Viral Launch and all these other kind of tools. There's a bunch of keyword research tools that are out there that has these. If you put in something like a reverse ASIN search, for instance, on a product, or you put in a single, keyword phrase that is very popular for your product, and you get back a list of relevant keywords. It's the same kind of thing. You can also, another ways you can do this too is you can take the existing converting phrases, like all of them historically, all the converting keywords from your product in your existing campaigns. Let's say you've been running these for 2 years. Just go in there and start pulling ad reports and seeing which are the phrases that convert, compile those all into a list, and throw them into something like this word frequency counter to find out what are the most common single words that happen, that occur more than once. Okay, and those are the ones you're going to copy over to that gold panning keyword campaign in phrase match. The nice thing about like Helium 10 has this, ACoS has this, a number of them have this. Sometimes they'll have these word clouds. They won't show the count, but they will say like, oh, here's the most common unique words that are recurring on this. Okay, like in this example for I just used one for this garden glove, right? Does that make sense? Did I lose anybody on that, as far as what you're putting into the manual keyword gold panning campaign as a keyword? You're not putting in phrases, you're putting in single words, and the single words are the ones that occur most frequently in your long target list of keyword phrases. Does that make sense? Can I get a yes in the chat there from everybody? Get a no if I lost you. All right, let me take a quick drink here, and while people answer, I'll move on. Okay, good. Thank you. Got a lot of people kind of quietly listening in the background. All right, so this is something you can also set up on, if you got access to sponsored brand ads, you can do that too, where you use single words, again, from your long list. Now, generally the practice that we do with sponsored brand ads is to only target keywords that have converted through sponsored product ads, right? So what I was just talking about, like if you've been running ads for a while, you can pull a list of all your converting search terms and throw it into a tool like RightWords, and or just do a search for word frequency counter on Google or something like that, and you could probably find another tool similar to it, and find the single words that occur most frequently and throw these in there with that low bid. Okay, with that, the 50-cent bid or something that's well below competitive levels. Okay. All right, let me go on to the next one here. So let's talk about product targeting. So with product targeting, this is what Jason was talking about. Kind of was a strategy that got pulled through one of the students of one of my peers, who has permission basically to say, it's like, like here's the gold panning strategy, and so it was kind of a variation on this. Now, the sponsored brand, product targeting, category targeting, these are strategies that we currently use. I'm going to give a shout out to Sean Stone on our team. I know he had put together a good strategy for a brand ad team, and I know that certainly the product targeting, the category targeting is something that we've also done as well. This same kind of concept, you're building a manual campaign, you've got a fairly low budget. You don't have to worry about the bidding strategy or the placement, because those are sponsored product. Well, okay, you do actually. I'm sorry, for a sponsored product, you don't have to worry about it in the sponsored brand or sponsored display, because those features aren't available. But in a sponsored product, yes, you can use the fixed bidding strategy. Still, you don't need to use a placement. Again, try to pick your highest converting products, and of course, use a low bid or even half of your average suggested bid. Now, A couple things I'm going to point out here is when it comes to targeting products, okay, you're targeting. This is not a defense ad, so you're not including your own products, your own brand. You're targeting other products. Now, there's multiple ways that you can spin this. Okay, the default method is to target things like all the suggested products that Amazon puts up. When you select in a manual campaign, when you are selecting product targeting, Amazon will say, it's like, do you want to target all the suggested products? That list of suggested products will change based on the products the top 3 converting products. So if that's one of the reasons why you want to make sure this campaign is for a specific product group. If you sell kids toys and you also sell camping tents, don't commingle those in, because it'll confuse Amazon and they'll give you targets, suggested products that are all over the place. Keep it within that same product group based on the ones you included to show ads for. Now, you can use the entire list of suggested products. It doesn't really matter whether those are competitive or not, because you're bidding so low that it doesn't really matter. Now, try to observe, if there's a suggested bid, try to get on the low side of that, right? You definitely want to be under what you normally get. If you've been running ads, these kind of ads already, and you already know that your average cost per click is only 40 cents, don't put a 50-cent, default bid in your gold panty. Go 25 cents, okay? So kind of keep it relative to the product niche that you're in and what you're experiencing so far. This default bid can get lower in some of these things like product targeting, category targeting, sponsor brand ads, sponsor display ads, because there's less competition competing for the same space, so the average cost per click is lower, okay? You definitely will see where these will go up come Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and then again for Christmas, and then retract again back in middle of January. The second piece on this is you can target all the bestseller products in a subcategory. Now, you may be asking, well, how do I find that out? There are tools that do reverse ASIN lookups that might make suggestions as far as directly competing products, right? Let me show you an example of this. So I'm going to go to this product listing here and wait for the browser to time out. Okay, there we go. All right, so then this is just an example, leather work glove, right? Now, this one, if you scroll down to where it shows the bestsellers rank, okay? This one, like for instance, says number 4 in safety work gloves. If you just click on that link right there, it'll take you to the bestsellers for that particular niche. It's pretty simple, right? Now, there are Chrome extensions and third-party tools and everything that will allow you to extract out the ASINs from an Amazon list like this, or will display the ASIN on here. One of the hacks that you can use on this, of course, is if you just right-click the link to the product and copy that link address. You can paste it into maybe a list, and you can see right in the middle there, of course, is your ASIN, and you can just extract that into a list of ASINs that you pull in. The reason that we are going after these, yes, there's going to be some redundancy to the list that Amazon is suggesting, but the reason that we're selecting all of these is because these all have high traffic, right? And so that's kind of what we're going for. We're looking for the high traffic situations where you got plenty of shoppers going through, but you're looking for that remote chance that your ad will show because you have such a low bid. And usually it's because you get a situation where these masks, for instance, like, let's say a pandemic comes along for some reason, the masks sell out because there's a huge demand. There's still traffic that is going to this for a while until Amazon starts sliding it down the ranks. But at the same time, your ads are probably still showing and giving alternatives to that product. So if you're selling work gloves, for instance, or masks or something similar to this product niche, then you can essentially target with a really low bid using the product targeting ad. For all the bestseller products in that subcategory. Some of the more advanced strategies that we use is we start branching out into sibling subcategories. So in other words, we might come out here, we're in safety work gloves, we might go to, if we're selling something that is similar in this line as far as safety equipment, we might go out and start pulling a list from all these other subcategories over here. Come over here and look at glove liners and pull all those, because some people are going to wear glove liners inside of their work gloves. These are all opportunities that your competition is very likely, I can guarantee you, very likely missing, because they're not thinking about going out of their space. They're using what Amazon is saying, what the common, the popular teachings are, is only use the keyword research tool, what it tells you to go after, only go after what Amazon suggests that you go after. Think beyond that. Think about where else your audience might be, and those are typically going to be in related products or in related categories. And if you've got a low bid campaign like this, you can easily target. You can easily come up with 1,000 SKUs or 1,000 ASINs that you can go after. Is that making sense? All right, so while I wait for somebody to say yes here, sponsored brand ads and sponsored display ads, you can also do product targeting on. The difference with sponsored brand ads is they also have an automated bidding feature. I would turn that off, because you're intentionally trying to keep the bid low, not have them dynamically turn it up. The same kind of reason why in sponsored product ads, we're using the fixed bidding strategy, right? Okay. Let me jump on here. Any questions regarding product targeting? Go ahead and throw them in the chat. I'm going to keep moving forward here, and then I'll circle back around and start fielding questions. If you've got questions that are kind of burning, then go ahead and throw those into the chat, because we do have a little bit of delay with between Facebook Live and the broadcast here. So I will address those at the end here, and we'll just kind of go through some of your questions. Okay. Category targeting. This is something that Jason also mentioned too as a strategy on this one. He was showing more of the refined method, so which is one of the options, right? Which I actually put in here. You can refine that, and that is something that we do also. Same kind of concept, right? Where you got category targeting. The only difference here is that that's not targeting all suggested products. I need to edit my slide here. That would be all suggested categories. It's like either suggested or like recommended categories. Okay. Same thing with sponsored brand ads, turn off that automated bidding. Sponsored display ads also has that available as well. If you want, I can also show you as far as, does everybody know where sponsored product ads show versus where sponsored brand ads show versus sponsored display? If I get enough people who want me to talk about that, I can certainly throw that into this discussion. But the options that Jason had mentioned in that previous post here was that you can also refine the categories by things like price range and star ratings. In other words, what that means is that when you're setting up your category targeting ad, similar to the way a product targeting ad allows you to target all products, there's going to be a target all suggested or recommended categories. I forget now what word they use there, but there's also going to be a refine button there. Okay. And that refine button allows you to go in and filter by things like filter brands in or out, filter by the price range of the products that should be included, filter by the star rating. Now that is a nice feature, the star rating, the price range. I definitely recommend those. Those are optional. You don't have to, because you're bidding really low. When you're more aggressive with your bids, when you're actually doing a market share stealing campaign, like one of the things that I teach or that we do within the agency, we will focus in on, okay, what's a very close price range to the product if we've got a $25 product, we're generally not trying to target against something that's a $10 product, for instance. We will go after something that's a $100 product, but generally we don't go down on that one, because those are typically the cheaper ones. And if somebody's looking for a cheap, low quality, low price one, we're never going to get the conversion rates we want. But so you can filter by price range in the categories. You can also do by star ratings. If you're running if you've got a 4-star rating and you're kind of nervous about competing against 5-star products, then don't. On the categories, you can filter this. It's not available in product or keyword targeting. I wish it was, but you can run the category ads and use that refine filter as well. This is another example, the default bid. You maybe not need to run it at 50 cent as a default bid. Something in the 20-25 cent range may be perfectly fine for this. Okay. All right. So I kind of ran through that probably kind of fast for some of you. The only thing I'm going to mention here was that this bit.ly PPC trouble. This link is just a short link back to that Amazon PPC troubleshooting group that I run. That's just kind of an open. It's free and everything. But that's me. I thought I was being kind of cute with the genie tail there, kind of being comical for you today. All right, so let's go ahead and jump in and talk about your questions. Let me pull these up here. All right, so Stephanie joined in late. Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of people who are gonna have to go through and watch the recording again, and I'm sure there'll be some discussion and future Q&A in this thread as well. Um, Jeremy says, I'm not across where all the ads display. Is in like you're not sure where, as far as where they display? Just want to kind of clarify that, Jeremy. Graham, would be good to recap. Okay. Do you want to recap the whole strategy, or just recap as far as the ad placement? Just want to make sure I'm not going off on a tangent that you don't want. Rania, is it normal that I don't have category targeting in my campaign settings? So product and category targeting, you might not have those. If those, is that specifically for the .com marketplace? One of the things I mentioned early on was that not all ad types, of course, are available in all marketplaces. So .com has them all, but not every seller has them all. In other words, you would need to be brand registered for one in order to get access to brand ads and display ads. I didn't think that was a restriction when it came to product or category targeting, but you should be able to, let's say you're in a sponsored product ad, you should have an option to target keywords versus products. And within products, you'll have products and categories. That might be where the confusion is. It's kind of the categories buried down within the product targeting. Try that and see if you can see it there. All right, so while I'm waiting for some other questions on this, just kind of out of curiosity here, but we've got 18 people on the call right now. Give me a 5 in the chat if you're able to type, if you intend to implement any of these. Just kind of give me some feedback, give me some love there. All right, so then let me jump over to the ad placements really quick. All right, so let me do leather work glove. All right, so okay, so in keyword search results here, the ad types that are showing up here on the top here, this is a headline ad. This is for sponsored brand ads. So this top one is a sponsored brand ad, okay? These next 4 are sponsored product ads, okay? Usually you get into things as far as like some of the alternative content that Amazon shows. The ad on the left-hand side, this can either be a sponsored brand ad, or it can be a demand side platform, or like a display ad. So that can come from 2 different platforms, depending on where it comes from. They call that a skyscraper ad. So this is called a banner ad along top. This is generally like a tile ad, something that's a square or similar to a square. And then the skyscraper ad is the one on the left-hand side. Usually there are other sponsored ads that are thrown down in the middle here. This is a sponsored brand video ad showing down here in the middle. These are great. Even if you are just doing a over-the-shoulder walking through your product listing, with a screen recording, record, even that will improve, will get people's attention. That's a great opportunity that you should definitely jump on as well. Don't overthink it. Don't overproduce it, for sure. Don't go and spend $5,000 on a video. Do it for free, and then just get it published. If you've got sponsored brand video ad available, then run ads on it. Let's see here. More sponsored product ads here. Man, that's a long one here. More sponsored product ads sprinkled in. Come on, give me the bottom of this thing. Ends with some sponsored product ads, and then there's also 3 more tiles of sponsored brand ads here. This one on the bottom, I'm not sure on this one. This one is most likely a display ad. Now, I don't know if it's going to be a sponsored display ad or if it's a DSP ad, but most likely it's a display ad. That one might have some flexibility that it could even pull in brand ads in some cases. But of course, on these search results, Amazon has added in the sponsored products related to this search. Um, one of the things that I teach in my course and I teach to my agency team is, and hopefully everybody hears me. I'm not promoting anything. Okay, so this is just for you. Is There's about 20 other targeting options where you can go and find your audience that are not looking for your product but are looking for similar things. One example of that, just because I stumbled across it here, is the frequently repurchased items from popular brands, or you might see like on your phone frequently purchased together, or people who customers who view this item view these other items, customers who view this item purchased something else. Those are all those products that they're showing are all opportunities for you to target with an ASIN targeting or a product targeting ad. Now let me jump into the product detail page. Okay. Oh, nice. I love the fives. Thank you. Thank you. Ben, nice. Okay, cool. Join late. You watch the replay. Cool. Yep. Okay. Jeremy, random question. Awesome. When I search Amazon as a buyer, no sponsored ads show up on any category. Any idea why that might be? Yeah, so sometimes that can be browser specific. It could be if you're using Chrome or Edge, you might have a Chrome extension that's blocking ads. Certainly, any kind of ad blocker can certainly block some of those like that. Um, it can be that if you're using any kind of a VPN, that the tunneling will block ads. We certainly see if you're logged in versus if you're logged out, you might have a different experience. If you're using incognito or some kind of a private browsing session, you'll probably have a different experience. It'll probably show. My vote is probably ad blocker. Let's see here. All right, so the ad that is up on top here, this one is Amazon has always reserved this one for their own kind of like their public service announcements, their own PSA type of ads, or promoting their own items. We've been seeing in the past month, we've been seeing where there's things like the demand side platform, the DSP type of ads that are showing on here, or some kind of a display ad that is showing along top here. We're not sure if that is restricted access. We haven't been able to target it just yet, even with the level of access that we have. But yeah, so that one's starting to change a little bit here. As far as the ads that show up here, so normally, so similar items to consider. This is obviously Amazon promoting their own Amazon Basics right underneath the bullet points of this. Usually there is a product targeting ad, either typically like a sponsored product targeting ad that is in place of this Amazon app. In this case, nobody, and this is something you can look at your own listings. If there's no ad running there, or if Amazon just has like an Amazon app kind of default ad showing there, that is a golden opportunity for you to jump in if that's a competitor listing to your listing. Well, first of all, if it's your listing, you can run a defense ad where you're basically running one of your other product ads on targeting your own product. That'd be a defense ad example. If it is a competitor listing and this shows, man, run your ad on there. Set up a sponsored product targeting ad against that ASIN, and that is just blue ocean, just waiting for you to take it. That is an awesome place. This one over here on the right-hand side, I'm sorry, right down here, a couple of extra junk that they've added in here too, as far as other prices and stuff. But this one here on the right-hand side, this technically traditionally it's below the add to cart. This is a sponsored display ad. Okay, so you can actually run that against a competitor. And again, same kind of thing up here is that if you don't see an ad there, go grab it because it's cheap and it's wide open, and you'll get traffic, you'll get potentially some sales if you've got a good product there. Frequently bought together, that's another one where you could run cross marketing ads especially if those products are different, because sometimes we see where somebody is selling a glove and then it's like frequently bought together, and they'll have things like some kind of a clip that holds the gloves together, or some kind of a additional like add-on wrist sleeve for additional wrist protection for welders and that kind of stuff. And so this is something where you can run ads against those other products that may not be yours, where they're frequently bought together. If it is one of your other products, start running ads to cross market. That's another way to keep your customer within your brand, is to keep, even on your own product listing, loop them back to your other products by running ads. All right. Jeremy, yeah, cool, awesome. Yeah, that's actually a pretty common one, a common thing that we see. Um, okay, cool, Graham. So continuing on here with the ad placements here, there's brand ads that show up just below here, as far as below the frequently bought together. This one doesn't show up in all categories as featured items you may like. Of course, these are, depends on whether or not Amazon. So you can see these are Amazon basic brands. I think Ironclad is probably also an Amazon brand too, because featured items is typically Amazon. Not much you can do about that one. Let's see here. Let's scroll down a little farther. The comparison, you can't really do a whole lot about. That's usually something that's part of EBC or A plus content. Videos, Amazon posts and Amazon videos. That's an up and coming content area that you'll want to take a look at some point. And of course, sponsored products related to this item. Usually, the sponsored products related to this item ribbon are usually right below the product itself, above the main images and everything. And so, if you've got, this is kind of where I was talking about earlier. I was talking about whether or not you've got child variations versus standalone products. It is a great way for you to defend additional ad space, because like I said, this ribbon is usually right up a lot higher up. You can dominate some of I've seen it where a competing brand owned all, what is it, 7 on this one here, all these first 7 ads, they owned all 7 of them, and they were a directly competing brand, because they simply just went really aggressive with a sponsored product targeting ad. Actually, on this one here, it was sponsored product targeting ad, and they got their listing, all of their ads for all their various products, standalone products, showing up on their competition. That's a great way to steal market share from competitors. We do that all the time. My sales team tells me to stop saying stealing market share. It's was it market share acquisition or something? Nah, stealing market share. This one here is this one is actually this one you can either be like, say, a product targeting ad, or most likely it's a display ad. It might be a brand ad. No, I'm going to say it's actually a display ad probably on this one. Yeah, I'm going to go with display ad on that one. As you can see, there's so many, and of course, then you got the sponsored 4-star ribbon. You see that quite a bit, and then down at the bottom, you probably have like, this is either a brand ad or a display ad here as well. Cool. So hopefully that helped. That was not an exhaustive list of the additional ad types. That certainly didn't go into demand side platform, which is off Amazon ads. Yeah, if you're doing probably more than 30,000 a month in sales, you definitely want to take a look at demand side platform, but not managed by Amazon. Please have a third party agency do it, because they're not going to require the $35,000 per month minimum ad spend so that Amazon does. On standard I'm sorry, Jeremy. So if you're doing these kind of these cross marketing ads, or just running these kind of product targeting ads, I'm sorry, obviously this discussion has primarily been about the gold panning. You can certainly add it into the gold panning product targeting campaign, but you can also be more aggressive if it's wide open, like we saw here. Where is it? Where there is no sponsored product targeting ad right below the bullet points here. I would throw that into just a standard product targeting ad, and the gold panning. So in both places, probably might as well. All right. Other questions? All right. Let's see if we can find a point to wrap this up here. I'll field last couple of questions here. Jeremy, you were saying that, can you suggest any quick tips for decreasing ACoS? Okay, so I say it might be a little bit cheeky, but I say this sometimes because somebody else called me out on it many years ago, and it stuck with me. Is the easiest way to reduce ACoS is just drop your bid. It's not the best way, it's just the fastest way, right? Because obviously that's kind of where it's based on. Ultimately, there's a few things that I recommend that you can focus on. Yes, you can tune your ads in order to better target your audience. You can shift to more long tail keywords that typically have a higher conversion rate, higher click-through rate, higher conversion rate, so you can kind of distribute the cost. So a lot of times what we see when there's a high ACoS is because you're reliant on too few very competitive keywords that are really expensive, and you're not branching out and looking for those additional opportunities through things like long tail keywords, those keywords that are 4, 5, 6 words long. Certainly adding in the various gold panning campaigns. It's going to take a little while to build up to start getting some traction, because things like the single word sponsor product keyword ad, those lack relevance, and so they're hard. Usually those are probably the slowest to start. More than likely, what you're going to see next to take off first is going to be the gold panning product targeting ads, and then maybe, like, say, the category second. Third, of course, is look for opportunities to increase your conversion rate of your product listing. I know that when Stephen Black was on, I love a quote that he had stated, and I've repeated it. And so, Stephen, if you hear this, thank you again. And that I'm going to paraphrase, and that is, don't price your product on Amazon like you're apologizing for selling. Don't cut your costs. Don't set your price so low just so that you can compete with everybody else. Drive the value through the product listing, making sure that you've got all of your images that are being used. If you've got any kind of grainy images, look to invest in better images. In things like this that have texture, you may want to invest in 3D rendering, especially high quality 3D rendering. It takes longer. We actually do that within Canopy. We use 3D rendering because it just produces a phenomenal quality. In other words, this could be a 3D render based off of, like, the team that we use, like, just because the quality is that good when it's done by a real professional. It is not cheap, though. It's typically $1,000 or even a couple $1,000 in order to get some good quality 3D rendered images. That certainly does it. Make sure that you've got some kind of lifestyle images, something where it shows the product in action with somebody. Doesn't have to be somebody smiling. It could be simply like this, where you've got where you have an image that's showing, right? Jump ahead here. Hopefully my screen is still sharing here. I should be still showing here on the product, on the glove. If you want, go ahead and make sure that you add on a video or two. I think you can put in up to 2 videos. These typically take the 7th position. Videos are a great way to you can use them for different purposes. The biggest one, in order to increase conversion rate on the product, you can, if it's a product that there might be some confusion or difficulty when it comes to setting it up or installing, show a 15 to 30 second video. Keep it short, 15 to 30 second video of how easy it is to set up or install. Give them the confidence before they buy it that when they get it, they're not going to be fighting with it trying to figure out the instructions. They can just go, oh, you know what? I remember the video on that. That's going to make it easy. That's simple. If there's something that is unique about your product when it comes to manufacturing, you use some special process or whatever, talk about it. Do a voiceover with some overlay text, because the audio by default does not play. Of course, as soon as I said that, it started playing with audio. And I've had we've instructed clients to create videos where they literally are just doing a Loom screen share recording of them walking through, and they're not reading through everything. They're simply just say, it's like, look, this is the product, this is awesome, here's the reason why it is. They're not talking about price, they're not talking about reviews, they're not talking about the sizes and that kind of stuff. What they're talking about is, look, these are durable, right? What are people asking about in the comments? What are things that make your product stand out? Maybe from competition. These are seriously like high performance work gloves. not only the number one selling, but they use, the rubber knuckles provide, excellent protection for any kind of impact. If you're, working in environments where your knuckles get beat up, these are the gloves that you need. Sell it to them. Don't just read it out. They're certainly not going to read it. They're not going to go through and read all these paragraphs and look at all the images and everything. But they may play the video, and if you can just tell them the top 2 or 3 items that make your product compelling over some other cheap product, that is going to increase conversion rate. Third thing, keep your titles short. You don't need to stuff a bunch of words in there. I've seen titles where they go for men, women, children, woman, man, baby. They're just stuffing words in there. You don't need to do that. Amazon already knows what your product is. This is not a classic search engine that you have to tell it. Amazon already knows. All right, their AI is good enough now. The bullet points. Don't use, forget about facts. Like save facts and specifications and features for the long content down here. Okay, the bullet points save for why is this, what's the benefits, why do they want this. Okay, so not like this one says like, it says sweat management feature. I don't know what that means. All right. Can be located on the back of the thumb, allows you to stay focused on the job. So I would lead with stay focused on the job by not having sweaty hands. That's a benefit that I can understand, that I can relate to, because I've had my hands sweaty on the work site. Don't say sweat management feature. That's just talking about the feature. It's a fact. Machine washable. Okay, but there's something else about that. I would probably extend that to machine washable for easy care. Help them envision having the product and not being frustrated by the product. Tell them the benefit to them and why it is such an easy product to have. That is going to increase conversion rate. Increasing conversion rates by even a couple of percentage points will drastically increase your profitability on your ads. That will lower your ACoS by increasing your conversion rate. There's a lot of other things you can do as far as increasing conversion rate on your ads. It's not uncommon for the typical unit session percentage. That's kind of your overall conversion rate for a product, is typically 2 to 3 times that of your advertising conversion rate. If you do proper campaign management and refine your targeting and use a systematic optimization and focusing your ads on a target audience, you can get that conversion rate up to the same level as your as the overall conversion rate. I know my team, we do this all the time because it makes a huge difference in the profitability of the campaigns. And that's the number one thing that our clients ask for, is make it profitable, because ultimately that's it always comes back to profitability. It really does when it comes to ad management. Let's see here. I think that kind of covers it. Hopefully, Jeremy, you got some nuggets out of that one. Hopefully, everybody got a few pointers out of that they can run with. Lee, that's awesome. Thank you. Good to hear it. I know that, so I was on the show a while back. It was a couple months ago, and one of the things I had not got a chance to do to follow up was to create. I said I was going to create some video responses to some frequently asked questions. I do still plan on producing those, but this one seemed like it was a really good topic to kind of come back in and just make myself available to you. I'm going to wrap it up now. I think we've been on long enough. I wanted you all to enjoy your Sunday, and if you have questions, go ahead and put them into the chat. Anybody who caught this as a replay, go ahead and let me know that you saw as a replay, so that I can kind of keep a pulse of how many people actually were able to implement it. And thank you so much for being here. It really means a lot to me. And thank you for certainly thank you to the entire group for having me on. So awesome. Thank you. Cool. Awesome. Thanks, Stephanie. Jeremy, appreciate it. Awesome, Graham. No, you want to check if others don't have sponsored. Yeah, Rosie, I tell you, I mean, if you just look at your own listings and then look at your competitor product listings, if you see gaps when nobody's running ads, oh man, you're in a good niche. You got a great opportunity sitting in front of you. So awesome. Okay, well, I'm going to say good evening, and I hope you are all well. and I will talk to you soon. And I'll watch the thread for future comments. All right. Take care, everybody.